It's Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First, we'll find out more about the CCRTA's efforts to reach out to seniors on Cape Cod. Then we'll chat with Airport Manager Katie Service. She's going to tell us about ways that they are working to expand air service at the airport. And finally, we'll check in with Finance Director Mark Milne. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. Airport Manager Bud Brialt announces plans to retire. Brialt announced he will retire next February at the end of his current contract. Brialt has worked as airport manager since 2009. Brialt told the Airport Commission last night that he will stay on long enough to assist his successor. Congratulations, Bud. You will for sure be missed here in the town of Barnstable. And up next, we're going to go ahead and go to our first interview, which is we're going to learn about new plans for the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority to help seniors in our area.
About a year ago, back in June of 2016, an editorial appeared in the Cape Cod Times indicating with our significant population growth for seniors on Cape Cod, and actually, I know Congressman Keating could probably tell you, but I know that we were like 11th in the country in terms of the median age for seniors. All the other 10 counties are in Florida. So there is a significant senior population, as you can see, in the Commonwealth. So the Cape Cod Times indicated that because of that issue, that they felt there was inadequate long-term planning in the areas of health care, housing, and transportation. And so we took that quite seriously and met, as we do quite often every week, to talk about how we can address matters of importance. And we held a little event a year ago indicating what we already provide in terms of senior mobility efforts. And we do a lot. We do a great deal to move people around. We had 1.4 million trips last year on Cape Cod, and that's not too bad with 220,000 citizens here and 600,000 or so in the summer. We have a Boston hospital bus that leaves from the lower and outer Cape to 14 and 15 Boston hospitals every day of the week. We have a DART service that's somewhat unique here in the Commonwealth, where you can call us up 24 hours ahead of time and we'll come and get you and take you to where you need to go. We really try to limit that to folks that are mobility impaired, but we move a lot of people and schedule about 1,000 or 1,100 rides a day with DART. We have contracts for human service transportation to the tune of, I think Paul told me, $11 million in fiscal 18. We have contracts with social services, elder services. So we have partnerships that we're very active with to try to improve transportation for seniors. It seems, as I look around the room, I've worked with so many of you on different issues, it seems that every issue that we try to confront, transportation is always a challenge. And so we're trying to do something about it. And I certainly could not do what I do without this extraordinary staff that we have here that is very passionate about what we do and genuinely care about effectuating positive change for people on Cape Cod. So the Cape Cod Times editorial got us going, and then we convened a meeting over in Yarmouth to meet with all of the Council on Aging directors, because we felt that in my previous life as a legislator, I remember how hard the council directors worked, and with little or no resources half the time, and making things happen to move seniors. So we convened a meeting to tell them we wanted to know how each community provides transportation with the vans that we provide. We buy vans and lease them with the Councils on Aging, and they move seniors within their respective communities. But we wanted to learn firsthand how some towns are doing it better than others, how other towns are doing it. So we went on this, actually about a year-long effort to gather as much information as we could. Kristen Boyd, Lynn Algren particularly, but Paula George and my entire staff was involved. And they had great sessions with the councils, and they all came back to me telling me something I already knew about how incredibly effective they all were. So we learned from that experience, and we've developed we've developed a number of initiatives that we think will enhance and improve the mobility for seniors in Barnstable County. What we did was, went out and we did a number of things that councils do and looked at how we are interacting with them on a regular basis and tried to see how we could collaborate even better. And so we did that, and we came up with 7 or 8 or 9 different initiatives that we think will make a difference. And last year we tried this pilot program for the holiday season where we provided free fares for people over 60 years of age from Thanksgiving to Christmas to try to encourage them to come down to Barnstable to the mall and whatever shopping they needed to do. And there were several hundred folks that took advantage of that. And it wasn't a tremendous revenue loss for us. It was important that we expose people to our wonderful service. And so we contemplated making that, doing that further. So you will see that some of our initiatives are up here on the wall. And that is one we're going to continue. We're going to start June 28th and go to the end of this calendar year with free fare Wednesdays, so that any senior who wants to come into the town of Barnstable or go anywhere on Cape Cod on our fixed route service can do so for free. And it gets a few cars off the road. It also allows older couples to come into town, have lunch and dinner, maybe a martini or so. And not have to worry about driving home. So we think that, not that I would, but we think that's a significant statement to the citizens of Cape Cod that we care about how you move around on our roads. And I know a lot of legislators here who grapple with these issues all the time, and I've said for many years that the roads on Cape Cod were never really built to accommodate the volumes they have to deal with now. So public transportation, in my mind, is all that more important, and that's why we've tried things like the Cape Flyer, and we've tried all kinds of things that have all proven pretty successful. Our next initiative is, and I don't want to get too technical because it's difficult for a lot of people to understand, but the federal government has a process called NTD, National Transit Data, and some of our transportation partners provide information to the federal transit folks about ridership, road miles, and things like that, which generate more revenue back into our region. And our CFO is phenomenal, and we've talked for a year or so about how can we generate more money, and so we've encouraged our partners to report those NTD numbers, and we've found more money as a result of that. And also the councils, the vans we provide, they provide NTD numbers as well. And so we thought, because of the money that we are the designated recipient, the Cape Cod RTA, we're the designated recipient. We can take all the revenue that's generated and just keep it. But we thought that we would share it with the Council on Aging because their numbers are reporting it. And it would also provide incentive for them to provide more rides locally. So we've identified $40,000 that we're going to work on to distribute with trip miles, and we're going to work with the councils in that regard. Someone's happy about that. So the senior accessible vans that we provide, you'll see this beautiful brand new van. Every year we apply for grants through the state and federal government to get what is called Mobility Assistance Program vans. And I see my good friend Bud Dunham. I remember when I was a legislator bringing a van down to Sandwich and Jan Timmons years ago. It's still a very successful program. And so we have that with all the councils as well. So there's a close partnership there that we want to make sure we continue to make work well. We have the van procurement that goes out every year, so we'll be doing that. Another initiative we have, an additional loaner program where, sometimes the councils, their vehicle breaks down, or not necessarily breaks down, but for one reason or another is unable to be used. And we now are having a more robust loaner program where we can provide a van to each council if they need some help and some assistance and their van is unable to provide it. And we also have excursions that some of the councils take on that go out of town, and we have an extra van if the councils want to use that. We can develop that. We're really going to enhance our collaboration.
In the first 3 weeks, I've had the opportunity to go over to our senior center and meet with the Council on Aging folks, and the job that Maddie does is just incredible. And one of the first acts last week was to get the legal paperwork quickly done to accept this. So you know, I'm proud to be here, and I look forward to working with you moving forward. Thank you so much for this. It's you could probably say more.
Do you want to drive back to the seniors?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Tom. You know, none of us are surprised by the aging demographics that we're facing on Cape Cod in all of our respective towns, and I know the work that we're all doing at our councils on aging. We couldn't do it without the support of partners in our communities, and the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority, really, they're at our side. I like to think that, you know, there are a lot of challenges that are presented by our demographics, but there's also a lot of opportunities there, and we make things happen together. We can't solve every problem ourselves. This is more than just a van. To us, it's a lifeline. Today, it's really about the seniors in our community that are going to benefit from this vehicle, the clients that are going to come to our supported day program, and their caregivers that will give them a little bit of respite, the seniors that can get out and about and stay engaged in our community, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help our seniors age well, reduce social isolation. Transportation is one of the greatest causes of people becoming isolated, because when they can no longer get themselves places, they don't want to become a burden. So with these vehicles, we're going to be out covering our 72 square miles in Barnstable. I also want to thank all of you and your staff, Paula, Lynn, Kristen, John, Pete. We couldn't do it without your support. And also I want to thank Judy Red. Yes, Judy is our transportation coordinator in Barnstable. She's also an outreach coordinator, and she cooks some great dinners as well. Any of our special events.
What an exciting announcement by the CCRTA. Well, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty this morning, so we had to skip through the newscast. We're going to go ahead and try that again and get to today's newscast. First story, Airport Manager Bud Brielt announces plans to retire. Brielt announced he will retire next February. That'll be the end of his current contract. Brielt has worked as airport manager since 2009. Brielt told the Airport Commission last night that he will stay on long enough to assist his successor. Congratulations, Bud. You will definitely be missed here in the town of Barnstable. The Growth Management Department is working to update the town's open space and recreation plan. The plan is used to identify challenges, potential areas of growth, and priorities for open space. Once approved by the Massachusetts Division of Conservation Services, the town will be able to qualify for state grants related to land acquisition. Residents can be a part of the update process by taking a quick survey. You can find the survey by visiting the Town of Barnstable's website and clicking through to the Growth Management Division. Well, kids won't have to go hungry this summer. That's thanks to a new program being offered at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. The Food for Kids program will run from June 26th through August 25th. The program will offer free lunch from 12:15 to 1 p.m. and a free snack from 3 to 3:30 Monday through Friday. Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason and Youth Center Manager Mark Boardley worked very hard to bring that program to the HYCC. For more information, you can contact the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Well, now is the time to get rid of that old paint, stain, or other hazardous waste you've been holding on to. This Saturday, the Barnstable Transfer Station, along with the Barnstable County, will host a hazardous waste collection day. Participants must have a household trash sticker or free recycling sticker. The hazardous waste collection will take place from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the transfer station in Marston's Mills. Well, we have so much more to come here on the program. Up next, we're going to chat with Assistant Airport Manager Katie Service. She's going to tell us all about how they are working to expand services at the Barnstable Municipal Airport. So Katie, really excited to chat with you today. I know you recently attended a conference in Providence, the Jumpstart Conference. Tell me a little bit about this event.
Sure. So the Jumpstart Conference is a conference that's basically known as airline speed dating. And so what it is that you have a number of airlines that show up at this conference, and they try to match your airport with the airlines, and then you basically sit with them for about a 20-minute segment interval to talk about your airport, to talk about what your needs may be at the facility, what you can offer the airline. And so it's really a chance to kind of say, this is what Cape and the Islands has to offer, and this is what we think your airline can do for us, and vice versa. So it's really a 20-minute interview. You talk about your airport, you ask them questions, they ask you questions, and if they have an interest in your facility, usually you follow up with them. But it's a good, quick meeting, and then you follow up, later on through the years to see if they're interested in coming to the airport.
Yeah, and this is really something. When did you decide to attend this conference?
So basically, we had a loss in airline service when Island Airlines closed their doors in December of 2015. So that really identified to us that there was such a reduction in passenger enplanements, basically passengers getting onto the aircraft at our airport. There was such a significant reduction in passengers that were flowing through our facility that we knew that we had to look at, other service that was available to close the gap, if you will. In addition to that, we also have an off-season need for airline service. So right when Island Airlines closed their doors, we had already been talking about, in fact, we had a consultant on board that was already going to these jumpstart events on our behalf, looking to get additional service to the airport, whether it be in season or off season, basically looking to include more service in Hyannis. So this was close to home, being in Providence, Rhode Island. We said, all right, let's tag team them. Let's go ahead with our consultant. And not only that, also with Nantucket Airport, to say, look, we know that in season we have a lot of traffic that goes to Nantucket Airport and to the Vineyard, and it's serviced well. We have JetBlue that comes to our airport during in season, but off season there's still a need for aviation service for the islands and for the Cape. And so we kind of tag teamed some of these airlines, and we sat down with them and with Nantucket Airport saying that there's definitely a need here for off-season service. You can serve not only Hyannis, but you can also serve the islands that would definitely cash in on this type of service coming to Hyannis.
Now, did you get any leads or any interest generated from the conference?
We definitely did. And so we met with 7 airlines, and of the 7 airlines, I would have to say that there were 4 definite leads. I won't say who at this point, but there were 4 definite leads. And the whole reason I think that we got anywhere with them was looking at this regional approach, basically working with Nantucket Airport and saying, once the summer traffic goes, there's still a need here for people to access the air transportation system. And Nantucket Airport sees Hyannis as a hub. And if you really look at it, Hyannis has the hub of transportation here, centrally located on the Cape. We have train service that comes here. We have bus service that comes here. We have the airport that's here. So it's a logical choice to say that this is the hub of transportation activity here for the Cape and the islands. So going to this jump start and speaking to these airlines about this regional approach was actually the key to get our foot in the door. And there seemed to be much more interest with this regional look than there has been in the past.
Well, so good to hear, and I think so interesting that you guys are working so hard to try and fill that void left by Island Air. Where do you hope, did you use at all the JetBlue experience and try and explain how that recent service has worked out well for them?
We definitely did. We talked about JetBlue service. In fact, JetBlue was one of the airlines that we did sit with. And we talked about how successful their service has been, especially in season. And there is room to actually add additional flights in season, perhaps by JetBlue. I'm not sure, but they seemed interested. Because there's such a high demand in the summertime for their flights to and from JFK, they seemed interested in potentially adding additional flights because it would probably work for them in the summertime.
Right, and if they've already have that kind of set up, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Katie.
I hope that works out, correct.
Yeah. You know, want to ask you too, I know it's a very busy time of year for the airport. The FAA actually has an annual inspection. When does this occur?
So typically for us, it can change in any year, but typically it's May-June time frame that we do an annual inspection. And the reason for the inspection is because we do have airlines that come in that require our airport to hold certain certifications. So the FAA is coming in, and what they do is they look at our airfield in general to make sure that we're meeting FAA standards for the airlines that are going to operate here. So they look at the condition of our pavements, the condition of our runways and taxiways, our signs and our lights, how we're maintaining the facility, and they also look at our training records for our staff that are here. So they do that annually. Every year we have things that we can work on, that we can improve upon, and they make notes of that and basically come up with a list of kind of a to-do list for the airport of where we need to make some adjustments.
Almost nice to have that feedback, and they may have knowledge about ways things work best in other, like best practices from other airports that they can share. So always, I think, a nice growing time of reflection.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the chance to chat with you about the airport and everything that's happening, and hope to chat with you in the near future.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, Assistant Airport Manager Katie Service. Joining me now live on the phone, we have with us Finance Director Mark Milne. I can't believe we're saying this, but we are just about ready to wrap up this fiscal year.
Yes, we're in the home stretch. We have 9 days left in the fiscal year, and many of our revenues that we generate on an annual basis, much of that revenue is actually generated in the month of June. So we're watching closely what happens between now and the end of the year.
Really? So, the budget was sort of reliant on everything that you're taking in. How do you make sure that all of that works out at the end of the year? Is this a pretty tough process for your office?
Well, what we do is, we look at the activity, obviously from the beginning of the month to where we are now, and we look at what happened, what's transpired in the previous years. We try to project that out, and we're pretty confident that we'll hit all of our revenue estimates. Some of the bigger ones that we see coming in the month of June are things like beach stickers, and this year's been tough in the sense that we haven't had a lot of good beach days, and so people have been renewing their beach stickers
later,
a little slower than usual. Yeah, so we're watching that one closely, but we're pretty confident that we'll hit that revenue estimate.
So interesting. I, like everyone else, I think, didn't necessarily need to head to the beach right away. It was kind of rainy. We had so much rain. So that doesn't surprise me to hear that others, like myself, maybe waited a little longer than they normally would. But hopefully, now that the weather is cooperating a little better, we're going to see a lot of people flocking to that HYCC to pick up those beach stickers.
Right, and with
before
schools,
the 4th of July.
Yeah, and the last day of school is tomorrow, so this weekend could be a busy weekend. The weather looks good for this weekend, so there could be a lot of people renewing their stickers this week.
Yeah, I bet.
So we anticipate that happening.
What other kinds of accounts are you looking at the end of the year to make sure everything sort of lines up with the budget?
Yeah, another important one for us is the transfer station sticker, residential transfer station stickers. Those renew this month. July 1st, you have to have a new sticker to use the transfer station out in Marston's Mills, and so that's another one that we're watching closely. So this is a big month. We estimate about $2.2 million a year in transfer station sticker revenue, and most of that comes in the month of June.
Wow. And
many times people wait until the very end of the month to renew that sticker because it's good up until June 30th.
Yeah, why rush, right?
Yeah, right. So we're watching that one close. That's another big one for us. Obviously, golf is a activity that picks up in the spring And June is always a big month for golf as well.
Well, I was going to say they probably had a similar experience that we saw with the beach stickers, because if people weren't necessarily rushing out to get their beach stickers, they may not also have been rushing out to go golfing.
Absolutely, and May was a tough month for golf because there was a lot of rainy days, and the activity is so dependent upon weather. But it's been better recently, and we hope the first half of June anyway has been decent. Revenues have picked up a little bit, so we think we'll, barring any disaster with the weather here, we should be able to make our revenue estimates in the golf as well.
Well, glad to hear that. Hopefully we're going to see some of those revenues pick up, and hopefully it'll be a nice smooth process for you over the next couple weeks as we wind down this fiscal year. I can't believe we're saying that.
I know, yes. It's coming up fast.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Mark. We really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you again in the near future.
Okay, Sarah. Have a good day.
You too, Mark.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, Finance Director Mark Milne. Now let's go ahead and find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar with Megan Mamlock.
The official start of the beach season will kick off this Saturday, June 24th. Starting this coming Saturday, all town of Barnstable beaches, ponds, and other bodies of water will be staffed by lifeguards. For a full list of beaches of the town of Barnstable, you can check out the town's website and click through the Recreation Division. This coming weekend, kids are invited to the 15th annual fun-filled clamming classes for kids. The clamming classes are hosted by the Barnstable Natural Resource Program. There will be program opportunities for young people to experience and learn how to clam on Saturday, June 24th at 7 a.m., Sunday, June 25th at 7 a.m., and Wednesday, June 28th at 9:30. All dates will be at the Bridge Street Landing in Osterville. For more information or questions, call the Marine Environmental Affairs Division.
Well, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. On tomorrow's show, we'll chat with Town Councilor John Flores, we'll check in with Town Manager Mark Els, and we'll chat with State Representative Tim Whalen. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.